Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into a special edition of the Three Technique. If you've seen the show, you know that me and my guy Teddy over here, a little bit of Michigan fans. So we're going to be taking our victory lap on this one. But first, we need to play that intro.
One man. Goodbye. Hello, Heisman.
20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going running all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
I give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. All the Vegas is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone.
Four-man Alabama rush. Got him. No, they didn't. Oh, my gracious.
Yep.
How about that?
Well, everybody, thanks for coming on in. Teddy, thanks for joining the show today. Obviously, like I said off the top, we are, victory lapping. If you've watched the show, you know that I have been going hardcore all year, that I thought Michigan had it. It was Michigan's to lose. It was Michigan's time. It was time for it. And, we don't want to always brag about our predictions we get right, but sometimes you take a little victory lap. And Teddy, judging from the shirt you're wearing, the background, you like Michigan, right?
I mean, you could say that. It's just, it's like me like a 1% like in my whole body. Nah, dude, you freaking kidding me? Come on. How could you not be excited for this team right now?
Now, this is a fun time. This is a lot of fun, and for all of us college football fans, we dream of the moment when our team can make it to the mountaintop. And for Teddy, the Michigan superfan, if you're familiar with the show, you've seen him before. If you join our live streams, frequent chat member, man, just it's awesome to have you on. It's awesome to do this. I see you're wearing your Michigan gear. I got mine right back here. Been wearing that the last couple times on the pod. If you want something like that, you can go to Home Field Apparel as well. You can use our discount code 3TechPod, or you can use our link on Twitter. We have a link now, and we can use that if you're a returning customer. And so get your discounts, get your Michigan gear. I know, Teddy, you've got some on the way, not from home field, but you got some on the way, but some icy conditions on the roads right now may be preventing it from reaching you. Speaking of bad weather, that game that they played in bad weather a couple weeks ago, that national championship game now, you're still feeling the high off of it. It's settled in, right? It's settled a little bit. We've maybe come down a little bit, but we're going to be riding this high through the offseason. Teddy, how does it feel after this last week or so that your Michigan Wolverines are national champions?
Dude, it's just the feeling of it just doesn't feel real. I've been going, just sitting in my thoughts, thinking to myself, dude, no, this can't be real. Did we really just win? Then, did we win? We're the freaking champs. 15-0 national champs. Not many teams can say that, and I'm proud to say that my Wolverines did it. It's in their freaking fight song. It's, hail to the victors valiant. Hail to the conquering heroes. The champions of the West. Go blue.
There we go. I love it. Nah, man, it's been so much fun watching this team. And it's nice to have a team that hasn't won it in a little while finally making it to the top here. It seems like so often it's just, it's Alabama or it's Georgia or, it's Auburn's been in there a couple times. LSU's been in there a couple times last several years. So, it's nice. Clemson, obviously, for a couple of years. It's just kind of nice to have a little bit of a newer team. Michigan hadn't won it in a little while. So nice to let that happen. And also, for just an incredible program. Obviously, there's some controversy, but we can get that out of here. Didn't take any players from Washington. Didn't take any players from Alabama. This championship, or whatever you want to call it, however they got there, they beat Nick Saban's Alabama. That's the way that he went out. And they beat up on the new head coach at Alabama, Kalen DeBoer. And so that, a lot of ties there. Kind of funny. It's that nobody in the state of Alabama very big fan of Michigan right now. So that's kind of a fun thing. But Teddy, when you're watching the game, the super van here, we're thinking about, not just the football, the X's and O's breakdown. Obviously we do a lot of that on the show, but let's just talk about the fan aspect. What are some of your favorite moments from this game? As you're watching it, you're sitting there, you're watching your team play the national championship game. What are some of those big highlight moments that are going to stick with you for a long time?
First and foremost, the defense showed up that game. I know all week long, all the pundits, all the talking heads, they were saying, how is Michigan secondary going to put up with this air raid offense by Washington? And to be quite honest, I was saying the same thing. I was like, what are we going to do? Like, are we going to be okay? Are we going to poop our pants? Are we going to let them, throw the ball for 400 yards on us and give up 5-6 touchdowns? And then thinking like, maybe our secondary isn't that good. But they showed up the whole game. They had this bend but don't break mentality. I mean, they only scored 1 touchdown on us. It should have been 2, but the receiver, Butterfingers, saw all the green grass. I don't know what happened, but he dropped the ball and we got away with one for sure. And I was just like, holy crap, like, how does that happen? And then, of course, you got the Don breaking off two huge runs for us. I'm thinking, like, where has this guy been all season? But, I mean, hey, he showed up for the game that mattered, and I'm happy that he was there for that. Again, the defense just really owned it. I mean, defense wins championships, and it could not be more true on Monday night when the game happened. And I could not be more excited, more ecstatic. I just, I mean, not to speculate anything, but Michigan beat Alabama so bad that Saban retired. Like, I mean, I'm going to start pushing that narrative. That's for sure. And then Kalen, we beat him so bad, he's like, I don't want to play these guys next year. So he went to Alabama. I mean, say what you want to say, but I think those guys knew that they didn't want to see this team again, and I think they knew what's brewing for the future.
Yeah, man, and such a fun game, honestly. Like, and a lot of people thought, this was going to be a lot of back and forth in the offense, and it kind of started that way, like you were saying. I mean, Don just taking care of business off the top. I remember that first drive I'm watching them, I'm thinking, wow, Michigan's looking real methodical, right? Not going for the big plays, not trying to hit the big home run, and then all of a sudden, boom, cut around the edge. There goes Donovan Edwards. And so, off to the races at that point. And then, I'm thinking, wow, that's a huge strike. You never know how big of a play you're going to get in this game. 2 good teams, you don't know. And then there he goes again, just immediately next time. Like, there he goes. And I'm like, wow.
Back, I feel like it was like, this is like, where, like, again, seriously, I'm yelling at my TV. Where has this guy been all year? Like, he was getting stuff in the backfield, getting two, maybe 3 yards at most all season long. And I'm like, God, like, and I feel bad for the kid because, like, I had high expectations for him. I know the whole fan base did, and I know he had high expectations for himself. And then he's like, couldn't do jack squat in the regular season. But, again, the bigger picture here is that he showed up when it mattered the most, and it cannot thank him more.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing there, 497 on the ground all season for Donovan Edwards, 104 of those in that national championship game. So it's kind of a weird, it's weird to see a guy who, for last year, I mean, we all saw what he did in the Ohio State game last year, and to watch what he was able to do and to finish the season last year, you thought, man, like, what a monster 2-headed back we're going to have here. And the funny thing is, really, if you look at their production over the year, Corum and Edwards maybe weren't as productive as you'd expect them to be going into the year, yet here's Michigan standing at the top of the mountain at the end of the season. It's just kind of funny how that does work out sometimes. But with regard to the game itself, when did you know, like, okay, this is happening, right? Because I think for a lot of us, we see that moment, and there's those moments in those games. I'm thinking a couple years ago for Georgia, when they throw that pick and it gets run back for a touchdown, right? And you're just watching that happen. You're like, this is it. This is the moment, right? They've officially done it. Doesn't matter what Alabama does now. Georgia's won their national championship game. Didn't really get one, last year. Wasn't really much of a competition for TCU last year. But this year, I'm wanting to think for you, you're sitting there on the edge, nervous. This is a real back and forth struggle. When did you think, okay, this is it. We've got this. This is officially happening?
I mean, it was being a Michigan fan. The game is never over until you see triple zeros on that clock in the fourth quarter. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you like that I wasn't still on the edge of my seat after they even went up 34-13. But I mean, I think it was when Corum scored his first touchdown on their opening drive in the fourth quarter. I mean, they drove the length of the field, again, very methodical. That the team that played that game that Monday night 2 weeks ago, that was the team I thought we were going to see all year long. Like, just do what they want to do, run the ball, and just own the line of scrimmage. But it was just during the season, you kind of saw that kind of like the run game definitely struggled. And JJ had to put the team on his back a lot more during the season than in the national championship game. So there's that one. And actually, what's funny about this is I was streaming the game, and we were having really bad internet Wi-Fi that night for whatever reason, and it kept buffering. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden, I get a text from you and my dad at the same time. They're both like, let's go. And I'm sitting there, I'm delayed. What happened? And I'm freaking out. And then next thing you know, Corm busts off this, what was like 12, 15-yard touchdown. And was just like rumbling and stumbling, like the hard-nosed running football that we've known to see Blake do. And then, of course, you can't forget about Mikey Sanderstill. I mean, just that lock of a pick, running it back, setting up Michigan within like the red zone, like the 10 or whatever, inside the 10, and then just that walk-in touchdown for them. Like those two moments right there, definitely. I mean, obviously the interception sealed the deal, but I think definitely after that score from Corm opening up the fourth quarter, or their first drive in the fourth quarter, that was kind of like, okay, I can breathe easier, but I'm still like, let's just keep doing what we're doing. Don't give up. Don't do anything stupid. Don't let them give like just an ounce of belief that like maybe they can come back, and obviously with that game sealing pick, that was definitely the dagger that we needed to do. And it was just fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and it almost sounds weird to hear, right? That some random touchdown in the middle of the fourth quarter makes it a 14-point game. You're like, how is that the moment? I mean, you feel super comfortable at this point. Well, you forget it made it a 14-point game, but Teddy, we were locked in at a 7-point game for over a quarter of football. What was it? It was I'm looking at the score sheet right now. So it was with 8:58 left in the third. Grady Gross kicks a field goal to cut it to 7 for Washington. And you didn't score another point in that game, either side, until 7:09 left in the fourth is when Blake Corum scores that will not be denied touchdown, right? And so you're looking at this and you're saying, we've been locked in at 7, and it didn't feel like either side could breathe at all, right? It's a little bit of progress, and then the drive stalls, then a little bit of progress in the drive stalls, and then a good punt, then a bad punt, and then, an unforced error and a penalty and everything else. And, man, it just felt like it was so back and forth. No room at all. And so, that touchdown, I mean, it pushes it to 14. And even though Washington does have that quick strike offense in them, it just didn't feel like it was happening that night. And I mean, it was huge. That Sanderstill interception too is so huge.
Right. And I think that's why I was so tense the entire game. Like, it was 14 points, but they could score 14 points in 2 minutes if they wanted to. You know what I mean? Like, and the score, the final score doesn't reflect it, but I mean, Washington their defense played a great game. Like you said, it was deadlocked at 7 all the way up until the fourth quarter, and so it was just like there was like no really like easy breathing sort of thing, And I mean, Washington played a great game. I mean, I'm glad if you like defense, that was a great game to watch, So like last year it was all offense. This year was all defense,
Well, last year is maybe more all Georgia. I don't know. I mean, if it was all offense, TCU might have showed up. But anyway, no, you're right about that. You're right about that for sure. Look, I want to talk a couple things future Michigan right now. So obviously, with this, Harbaugh brings Michigan back to the top. This is what he, was hired to do. Obviously, everyone, when you hire a coach, you expect them to succeed. And I guess everyone technically has the goal of winning the national championship. But for Michigan, it was a lot more serious, right? You're bringing in Harbaugh because you're hoping he can take you back to the top. When you think about Jim Harbaugh, there's a lot of speculation about his future. We're not going to talk about that too much on the podcast. Obviously, there's all sorts of weird rumor mills. And you even sent me one the other day about, is Harbaugh going to get interviewed for the Ravens job? I'm like, to take John's job? He has the number 1 seed Ravens, clear championship favorites for the Super Bowl. Like, I don't want to do that. But so we're not going to speculate on Jim Harbaugh's job and if he is coming back or not. But in the event that Jim Harbaugh takes off, goes to the NFL, how do you as a Michigan fan view his legacy and what he's leaving behind at Michigan?
I mean, he's easily top 3, top 5 coaches all time there.
Yeah.
He brought back this program that just was not competitive. Like we're talking maybe 8 wins, 9 wins. I mean, sure, we were bowl eligible, but like not competitive.
Yeah.
We were playing in those very early December games, bowl games, and it was not a fun time to be a fan, honestly. It was rough. There were some years where I'm just like, why do I love this dumb sport so much? Like, I'm serious. I'm just sitting there like, this is so dumb. Like this game, the school, the sport doesn't have any effect on me. Why am I so invested in this sport? And then lo and behold, it comes in the man, Jim Harbaugh. And I didn't like that people were giving him the title savior of Michigan football. Like, I feel like that was a lot of unnecessary pressure on him. And I think that's why, or maybe not pressure, but I think I think that's why people scrutinized him so hard at first when he didn't come in and have the success or didn't win, the Big Ten right away, because people labeled that on him. And again, he didn't put that on himself. He was like, I'm a Michigan man. I want to come back and bring the school back to relevancy. And again, anyone who knows Jim Harbaugh, that's what he does.
Yeah.
Look at his coaching record. He was at San Francisco for 4 years, was 66-44, and took him to an NFC championship game. 4 years at Stanford, 15-29, and he won the Orange Bowl there 1 year.
Mhm.
But prior to those teams were irrelevant, laughed at,
Yeah.
mocked. And, now it is 9 years at Michigan. He's 114-89, 3 conference championships, and now a national championship, baby. So that's
Yeah.
just what he does. I mean, I don't want to see him go. No one in the Michigan world or anywhere wants to see him go, obviously. Like, I would love
Right.
for him to be around for many more years to come, win more titles, do what he does. But again, anyone that knows Jim, his main goal has always been to win a Super Bowl, and that's what he
Yeah.
wants. So, I mean, you can't blame the guy. We'll see what happens. It's just more of like, I want it to happen tomorrow than let it drag on another month or 2.
Right. Just rip the Band-Aid off, right?
Yeah,
Just get it over with. Yeah.
seriously. Like,
If
come
you're
on.
coming back, if you're leaving, I don't care. Just tell me, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, for sure. But and it's crazy because he really has built something special at Michigan, and especially in the last couple of years, he's built something. Multiple conference championships. He hadn't lost to Ohio State in 5 years now. It's coming up on 5
3.
years of not losing. Well, he got 3 wins, and then the COVID year they didn't play. And so
That's
it
right.
really
That's
was
right.
5 years
Yeah.
ago the last time that he
Yeah.
lost to Ohio State. That's a lot of years. And so that's a long time. So he's really built something good at Michigan. But I want to kind of think about next year a little bit. We're not going to crazy in-depth preview too much, but kind of looking at next year, there's a lot of change in college football. 12-team playoff as opposed to the 4. Conference realignment, right? Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA joining the Big Ten. And Michigan's got a couple of those on the schedule. Thinking forward to next year, and I'll read off the schedule just real quick. We got Fresno State, Texas at home. That's a big game. Arkansas State, USC at home, Minnesota, at Washington, bye week at Illinois, Michigan State, Oregon at Indiana, bye Northwestern, and then they finish off at Ohio State. If you're looking at this and you're thinking about, obviously we don't know anything about Harbaugh. We're losing McCarthy, we're losing Corum, we're losing Wilson, we're losing, there's some other key players we're losing on this team, but there's still guys coming back. How optimistic are you about next year, the next couple of years, the future of Michigan football? Do we see a repeat at any point in time in the future? Is there another, trophy at some point in time in the next couple of years for Michigan?
I mean, the fan of me wants to be like, yeah, absolutely. There's going to be no drop off, right? But you got to look at it more realistically. Like, okay, yeah, Jim goes and he's getting all these great players, scouting or recruiting all these kids in here, who want to come play for Jim and his staff. And then he goes, well, then are we going to lose those kids too? And then again, who takes the wheel after that? I mean, if you're asking me, give it to Sharon Moore. Like, talk about a guy who deserves it. You know what I mean? I mean, just right off the bat. But I mean, we are losing a lot of key players. I mean, that's what's expected when you go 15-0 and you win a national championship. Like, it's going to happen. Like the Alabamas have had it happen. The Georgias have had it happen, right? But this is the first year where obviously, Michigan's won the national championship, and now it's more heightened that we're losing all these good players. Like we're losing JJ, we're losing Corum. Some guys, they weren't a surprise. JJ was always back and forth, but you could always get the sense that he was going to declare. Corum was going to declare. Roman was going to declare. But I think when I say we, the fan base needs to do is, first of all, relax, because Jim has recruited these guys. Our depth at a lot of these positions have been phenomenal. I mean, you look at our defensive line; they were rotating in 2-3 guys every game. So I think definitely a big key addition was when Donovan Edwards said he was going to come back next year. I was like, well, talk about a big sigh of relief. Like, you have an offensive leader, you have a guy who's been there, done that, right? I mean, Alex Orji at quarterback, I mean, he looked great in the few games that we saw him in. I mean, he almost gave me Denard Robinson vibes. Like, the only difference was he ties his shoes, it looks like, but he's never there. Colson Loveland's coming back, so tight end position, great. Receivers, I mean, our receivers have never been something to sneeze at, and that's just, it is what it is, because it's not really bothering me. But I mean, it hurts to lose the production of, or productivity of, Cornelius Johnson, Roman Wilson. I mean, it's almost like in the receiver room, it's got like that next man up mentality. So I mean, you got Samaj Morgan, who unfortunately muffed a punt in the Rose Bowl, but I mean, he's a freshman sophomore, so I mean, let's just cut him some slack, and then a couple of key guys, Tyler Morris. I mean, he scored against Alabama in the Rose Bowl, so I mean, he's got speed, But again, and I know you guys have touched base on it. They don't have a lot of size out there on the outside. Like, they really haven't had much size since there was Nico Collins, Donovan People-Jones, Tariq Black. All those guys were 6'3", 6'4". So I want to see some more height come in to the receiving room. Offensive line, we're just gonna skip that because honestly I have no idea. Like, it's
they're gonna lose some pieces for sure. Yeah,
I mean, absolutely. They're just, I think like all 5-6 starters are all declaring. So I'm like, cool. But again, there's depth. Like, from everything I read and heard about the offensive line, that group was tight, and they were tight knit. And so I feel like with that, I think it's gonna be next man mentality. And with the portal, I mean, you look at our 2 centers back-to-back years came from the portal. So nothing says that, it's just going to be iffy. I mean, I think our run game is definitely going to struggle next year, but I won't go much into that. And then the defensive line, I mean, it hurts losing Chris Jenkins, Brendan McGregor, those 2 guys, those 2 vocal leaders on the defensive line. But again, depth has been our best friend on the defensive line. We're still going to have Mason Graham. We're going to have Kenneth Grant coming back, so those are 2 big leaders. Rod Morris coming back, who sealed the deal against Ohio State. So, I mean, we have key players on defense that are going to come back. And so, again, I think there will be some type of regression. Absolutely. Are we going to be competitive? Absolutely. It's just, I think there's going to be a lot more growing pains next year, probably on the defense, if I had to guess right there.
Right. Well, and growing pains as well on a harder schedule, right? It's adding the Oregons and the Washingtons, and not just getting the freebies against the other side of the Big Ten. You're throwing in like a Nebraska who's not very good, or a Purdue or someone like that, right? And sorry, not meaning to throw strays at Nebraska right now.
Oh no, I am.
Or Purdue, I guess. Yeah. Okay, we'll throw strays. Victory lap. Come on, champs, baby.
Come on. Dude, no, I'm owning it.
Hey, come on, deal with it. You ain't hosting the trophy. There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
But you look at it and you say, even those games, you also have Texas week 2, who put up a really good season. We don't know what they're going to look like next year quite yet. There's still probably some decision to be made, losing a stud of a running back in Jonathan Brooks. So we'll see kind of where they go from there. But man, a lot of really good games on the schedule next year should have Michigan in the limelight. The one thing that you can hang your hat on is, even if this is the end of a window for Michigan, right? If it's not going to happen again for a little while, it happened. Much better than, if McCarthy and all them came up just short, and now you're waiting for another chance to try to recapture, the first one since 30 years, and now it's 50 years or 60 years. Now you get to restart the clock, and look, those flags, those banners, the rings, those will be there forever. Those things don't go away. That's gonna be something you can always celebrate.
Absolutely.
As we're wrapping up, man, final thoughts this season of college football. I mean, you get to stand at the top of the mountain right now, so floor is yours. Close us out.
I mean, it was just one of those great seasons that I'm just like, can we just replay this season over and over again for the rest of the time? Because that's what I want. I mean, this team faced so many distractions, from the allegations to their coach being suspended. All the talking heads kept saying that their schedule's a cakewalk. They're not really playing anyone come October, November. Penn State's going to run all over them. I mean, again, not giving us just a light of day against that team that we do not speak of down there. They're saying Kyle McCord and Maserati Marv all day long. Well, I mean, more like Mitsubishi Marv, but I mean, again, we beat Alabama so bad that Saban retired. So it was just one of those magical ride seasons. Like, you couldn't dream up a better season. I mean, knock on wood, this team has been able to stay healthy for the past 2-3 years. I mean, I say healthy for the most part, but again,
sure, yeah.
They battled the adversity. They came back, and it was just, if and when an injury happened, it was that next man up mentality, and you would have really never known there was any injuries. I mean, looking at the offensive line in the national championship game, you wouldn't know that they were missing a key guard, and he broke his leg, 2 weeks ago. And I'm just like, you would have never known that, because I think this team just gelled so well. I mean, they all talked about the culture, this culture that they had built. And I think it reflected. Like, it was just a magical season. I mean, I could not be more proud. I mean, I'm sitting here trying not to cry right now, because it's just a beautiful thing. And laugh and mock at me all you want, but if you're not shedding a tear over something you're truly passionate about, are you that passionate about it? I mean, dude, let's run it back next season. I mean, come on. Like,
there you go.
I'm going to freaking enjoy this until week 0, week 1 of next season. So, as always, forever go blue.
There we go. I love it, man. And here's the thing. If you don't like it, then tough. You're not the champion this year. You get to sit down. So there you go. Teddy, thanks for being on. Want to remind everybody, go ahead, like this video. If you enjoyed it, we would appreciate the supports. Also, if you're enjoying this kind of content, you want to see Teddy again, go ahead and hit subscribe. He will be back on at some point, I'm sure, during the offseason to talk Michigan and what the team's going to look like, and maybe a new coaching hire or something like that, or maybe Harbaugh returning. We don't know. We'll see.
We'll wait. We'll see.
We'll wait and see. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. I'm excited to see what comes for the offseason. So guys, keep it locked right here. Like and subscribe. Go follow us on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, Instagram, and follow us, like all our stuff over there to get in contact with us. If you got questions, leave a comment. That'd be awesome. If you think we did a great job, leave a comment as well. We'd really appreciate that. And until next time, guys, we'll see you later.
Gracious him. How